This is Mark's words. I'm not buying until the trend is moving up. He considers himself a longer-term investor, and he's not even touching it in a downtrend. And I wouldn't either. Like I say, it doesn't matter, short-term trader, long-term investor. If the price is moving down, you're losing money because price at the end of the day is all that pays. Welcome to the Outlier Trading Room. My name is Chris Fuel. I've twice been awarded top 100 people in finance. I was mentored by 5 of the market wizards, the best traders of all time. I've been successfully trading since 2009, and this is where we save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. But before we get started trading, hey, let's jump into the lesson of the day. Where's the button? It's moved. Hang on. There it is. All right, so stick around to see how we rank this out of 10 and subscribe if you haven't done so already. So this video is from Couch Investor called Watch This Before Buying AMD Stock. And Couch Investor, if you're watching this, how you doing, my friend? He left a comment the other day, so I know that he might be watching them, and I am super stoked to hear what he has to say.
Earnings report, here's everything you need to know. At the time of making this video, Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD, is trading at $117.30, and it's actually one of the few semiconductor stocks that were in the green on Monday. It has a market cap of $190.39 billion. As you can see, over the last year, the stock is down closer to 20%, and it's down way more since the peak back in March of 2024. In the last 3 months, the stock is down now 30%. It has a forward PE of 26.1 times, and if we look at what the analysts are expecting this company to do in fiscal year 25 and 26, we can see that they are expecting this company to grow quite quickly, top and bottom lines.
Let's jump into Outlier and let's look at AMD in there as well. So if you go over here to the analyst ratings, that'll show you the analyst ratings right there on the screen. Makes it super simple. Loop Capital today sent out a new price target of 175. 175. AMD is currently at 114. So Loop Capital just said, give us a gain of 52%. All right, Loop Capital, let's freaking go. They got their rocket ship tickets. They're ready to go to the moon. So that just came out today. Yesterday, TD Cowen initiated a buy signal, but they changed their target from 185 to 150. That's a buy, but not as strong of a buy is what it's saying here, right? To 150. Which would still be huge. Randy, good to see. Randy says buy 175 calls. Not. And then Goldman went from buy to neutral, revising down bigly their target from 175 to 129. That just came a few days ago. HSBC reduce from buy to reduce. Looks like at 110, and that was a couple days about a week ago, January 8th. So you got one here, Loop Capital, bullish is all get out. And then the rest of them are like, yeah, kind of, maybe start reducing, etc. So the analysts are not ultra bullish on AMD. Let's go to the stock news real quick. I'm curious to see AMD's home builder rally. So that's positive. Why AMD dropped 18% in 2024. Definitely a negative story for sure. Got $5,000. Hey, why don't you put it in AMD? Is what it says right here in on the Motley Fool. Once in a decade investing opportunity. One, artificial intelligence and semiconductor stock to buy hand over fist. So clearly the Motley Fool is bullish as could be on AMD. We did get a buy signal here in Outlier on January 8th. Now it hasn't really taken off since that point yet. It's kind of gone sideways since then. But a 52% gain is in order, according to one of these investment houses here, Loop Capital. But while we got Outlier pulled up, let's do this. I want to show you a few upgrades that we just pushed yesterday. Like these are hot and fresh out the kitchen. So first, you'll notice the timeline scroll bar is moved to the top. First thing you'll notice. Second thing you'll notice, heat map value. We used to have the behavioral. What is that word? The behavioral heat map is what we see right here. Price trajectory oscillator, big words. Price trajectory oscillator is now gone. We did a lot of research and found that the price trajectory oscillator and the behavioral heat map basically gave us the same data. So we axed that one. And then the heat map value is one of my all-time favorite indicators here inside of Outlier. A new thing you'll notice right here is the constituent heat map timeline. So what does that mean? So imagine for a second, this is in the tech sector, okay? So AMD's in the tech sector, and once this loads in, this is the constituent map that just loaded in over here. And this says that 111 companies in this sector are greedy, 136 companies are fearful as of today. So it's almost evenly split in this sector 50-50. What we did is we took this data and put it over time. So let me make this bigger. And so what you see down here is how many stocks are greedy or fearful, right? Just overall greedy or fearful based on if they're in the green or if they're in the red on the heat map. So this is your sector's heat map, which is pretty freaking sweet, right? Then on top of that, this yellow line right here is the average value for that sector. So the average value today shows greed at 49.93%. So and moving down, as you can see, over time. So really, really handy tool right there. We wanted to take the constituent heat map, show where the rest of the sector is going, not just on that one individual stock. And then down here is the market breadth. Now, market breadth you're familiar with, right? This is what we use, and we'll talk about it more in a little bit. But this shows how many stocks are on the bull list with buy signals versus going over to the bear list with sell signals here, right? So if it was at 100%, every stock would have a buy signal. So this down here is the bull list percentage. The same line that we've been using for ages, this green line right here, is the same one that we've been using for ages, but for the entire sector, okay? Then you can add in the EMA, so moving averages here, which a little bit difficult to see. I don't know if Mark or Mahesh are watching, but the colors are not popping off for me, right? That red kind of disappears, and especially if you're a colorblind person, that's just going to completely disappear. Let's throw there 5 EMA on there. Yeah, that could be improved upon. I think we could update these colors, but that's the same line you're used to. Now, behind it, this stacked chart that you see behind it, that's these overlays that you've been seeing forever, right? The green is if it's in an uptrend, it's our trend template, the 10-20-50, and then the red is the opposite. That's the bearish template right there. So what we're doing here is we're actually showing how many stocks are bullish or bearish based in the sector, and then showing how many stocks are in whatever what is the word I'm thinking of? Overlay. If they're in a bullish or bearish overlay. So super handy. A big upgrade come through. Like, we want to make this as easy as we can to look at not just the stock, but what else is going on, right? We're giving you the sector, we're giving you the market. We really want you to be able to see from a holistic standpoint everything that's going on, right? We want to make this the best stock analysis tool you've ever seen. Also, something I've been asking for and you've been asking for is we got show hide buttons. We got show hide buttons finally. So if you go up here to show hide and you say, I don't want to see what's in column 1, you don't have to. Goodbye. I don't want to see what's in column 2. You don't have to see that either. Goodbye. And look at that. So we just clean that up. Now let's say you don't want to see the market breadth. You don't want to see the constituent timeline. Look at that. We just made this a very different user experience, right? I think that is pretty dang cool. So we definitely were listening to our feedback from our customers because we want to make this as easy as we can for you. We understand that we loaded the gate, right? We put everything we possibly could right inside the platform. And not everybody needs to see everything. Not everybody wants to see everything. So now you have the ability to toggle things to show or hide, which I'm actually really stoked about that, right? There's some of the stuff I've never even looked at before, but I know it's there. A couple other things is we have new lists that you can add stocks to, and we have new criterias in the screener. One of the things that I found at the end of last year is that my stocks that I pick actually perform best when they have moved less than 5% up or down since the signal came through. Now, that's because when it goes up over 5%, the outlier move we're looking for has already started to happen, right? When you get that buy signal, you can still jump in. And we made tons of money last year on stocks that had already moved 5%. But win rates were higher and profits were better for me by moving that down to say within a 5% range of the buy signal coming through. And then we also have a heat map. So as we discussed, the behavioral heat map, this is one of my all-time favorite indicators here. We actually now have the ability to toggle that if we want it to be flat, moving up, or moving down, which is going to save me a ton of time, because for those of you who have been with us for a while, you will have seen how I use that. and how eventually every once in a while I will go through and accidentally miss checking the heat map chart, and then I'll have to go through and like backtrack and take off the trade or whatever the case is. So easy, just one click. And of course, after you've set your sector, your screener the way you want it to, just come over here, save that to however you want. These are 2 screeners that I built, but you can play with this and make it your own, which is really, really exciting. So all these new upgrades just went through today, but let's go back over to this video over here.
At the time of making this video, the average analyst price target sits 51.39% higher than the price we're at today. And yes, in the last couple of days, the average analyst price target did come down a little bit. Now, before continuing, if you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if not, really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment with the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this before 12 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, there is the first live stream with me and Jose Najaro on this channel and on his channel. It's going to be a live show that we're going to start with twice a week, 1 hour each. And then if it works out, we'll increase the cadence. So
maybe I can get on with those guys as well. I'd love to do that. I'm literally making videos every single day. So hey, Couch Investor, if you see that, you want somebody else on, let me know.
Make sure you sign up. Just click on the remind button. Thank you. If we look at what the analysts are expecting AMD to report on January 28th, we can see that they expect revenue to grow 10.47% quarter over quarter. EBITDA should go up 23.29%, EBIT up over 17%, EPS on a GAAP basis over 31% growth, and on a non-GAAP basis 18.19%. Looking at some pricing metrics, we can see that for PE, EV to EBITDA, price to sales are lower than the 5-year mean. The only one that's above is price to free cash flow. That's in the last 12 months. There's a reason for that. We're going to touch on free cash flow in just a second. And price earnings to growth sits at 0.58, which by definition, anything under 1 is undervalued. A couple of things before we continue with the AMD stuff. The 10-year yield in the United States sits quite close to 5%. Back in September, that was closer to 3.62%. The higher this thing goes, the less attractive stocks will be. And that's why we've seen a little bit of weakness in the stock market. One of the other reasons is because, now after the better than expected drop.
Ooh, that's a CME Fed watch tool. I was just using that the other day.
Numbers, the expectations for rate cuts, especially in the January meeting, are close to 0. They're at 2.7%, which means that 97.3% don't expect any cut. There are even some people saying that they don't expect any cuts in 2025 at all. Anyways, moving back to AMD. AMD got a bunch of awards at CES. So they've got awards from PC Gamer, Best Processor, Best New Tech for Gaming. They've got an award from Tom's Hardware for Best CPU, from Windows Central, Best Handheld Processor, and Best Desktop. And then the last one from Games Radar, that's for AMD Ryzen.
Oh, that's cool. I am definitely a nerd, as you know, a computer nerd as well at that. And so my computer has an Intel chip and an Nvidia graphics card. But not too long ago, I went into the settings on my Tesla, and I have an AMD chip in my Tesla. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I had no idea.
9800X3D. More recently, we've seen a big announcement as well here. El Capitan is basically a super computer. El Capitan leverages the AMD Instinct MI300A, integrating 24 AMD Zen 4 x86 CPU cores with 228 AMD CDNA 3 high-throughput GPU compute units, 128 gigabytes of unified HBM3 memory that presents a single share address space to CPU and GPU, all of which are interconnected in the coherent 4-gen AMD Infinity.
This is so far over my head. like I'm listening to him and I'm like, what? which is what my wife does whenever I talk to her about money, about anything. She doesn't care. All she cares about is if the card swipes, that's the only job I have to do is make sure that card swipes. But yeah, her eyes glaze over just like mine is here, because this is so far advanced for me. I don't understand any of it. But if you do, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear.
Architecture. In all, it has more than 10 million accelerator compute units, which enable its exascale performance. And I believe the US now has the top 3 supercomputers on the planet. Moving back to what we've known in previous quarter, we know that AMD works quite closely with Meta. We also know that Meta Llama 405 billion model now runs exclusively on MI300X for all live traffic. AMD works with Meta not just for inference, but for training as well. AMD also said that one server equals 405 billion parameter model. A single server powered by just 8 AMD Instinct MI300X accelerators can fit the entire Llama 3.1 405B parameter model, the largest openly available foundation model. This means organizations can benefit from significant cost savings, simplified infrastructure management, and enhanced performance efficiency. They also told us in a fire chat with a Barclays analyst, when they look at 2025, they actually have a much stronger product portfolio versus 2024. And at the same time, the market backdrop continues to be really good. More importantly, when you look at the 2025, it's just a multi-year journey they're on. And of course, they also continue to invest in software, which has been the biggest, let's say, bearish case when we talk about AMD, especially compared to NVIDIA's CUDA, is the software side of things. They also said that they're acquiring ZT Systems that has also built their system expertise, time to market, and that should be, the acquisition should close early 2025. So overall, 2025, they feel really good about the opportunities ahead. And more importantly, they'll be able to continue to drive the trajectory and the momentum of their business. They also told us that MI300 ramping successfully, and now MI325, they're launching literally this quarter, and they'll start to see revenue in the first quarter of 2025, and then MI350 in the second half of the year. So when we look into 2025, we actually have a much stronger product portfolio versus the 2024. Which of course has and still is the big question, right? What will be the AI guidance for 2025? Yes, we know that they started with 2024 with basically zero, $2.5 billion, then 3.5, and now they are going to exceed $5 billion. The market for 2025 is basically expecting AMD to double that number or close to, I think, $9.4, $9.5 billion. I don't think that the same trick will work again, right? The next earnings call guidance is going to be, let's say, 8 billion or something like that, even though they think that they might beat it by $2 billion or so by the end of the year. I don't think that that trick, putting the bar low to beat it, I don't think it's going to work again. I think they'll have to come out with a pretty good number. That said, I do still think that in 2025, it's not just going to be full focus on the data center side of things, because of course they have other businesses, right? They have the client side, gaming, and embedded. We know that with embedded, there still is some struggles. There are some headwinds. Gaming, we should see a recovery in 2025. The year-over-year comparisons, as you will see in just a second, will become quite easier. The client side of things, Intel expects some major movements in 2025, especially in the AI PC segment, as more and more applications come live, as more and more people get exposed to those devices, huge refresh cycle as well. So that segment should help the business as well. And then, we know that the majority of the income will come from data centers. So that's still going to be a focus. But don't forget about all the other side of AMD. At CES, they also announced a partnership with Dell Technologies.
I can't tell. Do you feel like he is bullish on the stock? I mean, I feel like he's building a very bullish case with all of his points here. But I would like to hear the other side, right? I'd really like to hear the bearish side of it as well. Very, very curious. ESAT says, I keep buying AMD. It's a long-term investment. Mikey Mike says, so that can be changed to different sectors. So back on the platform here real quick. This changes based on what stock you're in, right? So for example, being an AMD, it would show the tech sector. If you went to Netflix, it would show the communications sector. If you went to Procter & Gamble, that would show the healthcare sector. It auto updates based on that sector. Good question, Sebastian. How you doing? All the way from Germany. Watch Channel DE, I believe all the way from Germany as well. Glad you're here. Jazz Hagen, I am so glad that you're here. I don't remember seeing you here before, but dude or lady, super stoked that you're here today. So do we buy it? And at what price? Okay, good question. We did get the buy signal in OVTLYR, but I would not be ready to take that just yet. In fact, here's a real pro tip. Here's a real pro tip with OVTLYR. Something that I had to learn with my own real money to figure this out. A sell signal inside of a downtrend could be considered a sell to go short. A buy signal inside of a downtrend could be a signal to sell to close your short, or buy to close your short. If I were looking at this, I would have taken it as this was a great shorting opportunity here. This would be the time to cover your position. That's the way that I would look at it. I am not buying it for sure, but that is the way that I would look at it. Now, if you're already a long AMD shareholder, that kind of fits into your thesis, right? That maybe this is the bottom. I don't know if this is the bottom. We do see some order block support down here around 96, right? I would hate to see your investment go down to 96. That's another 14% down from where it is today. But yeah, AMD is clearly in a downtrend right now. And it's not something that I would personally put any of my money on. Randy says, waiting for AMD to start showing bullish before buying. Yes, exactly. Now, Randy, how do we determine that? With the outlier trend template, with the 10 over the 20, price over the 50, because that's your short, your intermediate, and your long term. Once they cross, right, they're going to flirt with each other. They're going to take each other out on dates. They're going to kiss. And at some point, they're going to cross over to the other side. And then that is when a buying opportunity could be had. But until that point, the trend is down, right? It's just math. It's just math. It's not voodoo. It's not witchcraft. It's not fortune telling, right? And it doesn't matter if you're a long-term investor or a short-term trader, the trend is currently down. So this is not a stock that I would get into right now. But at some point, the trend will bend, maybe, and go the opposite direction, right? I don't know. Jazz hands. Jazz Hagen, not jazz. Jazz hands. Jazz Hagen. All right, let's go back over here.
Technologies, the enterprise side of things is extremely lucrative. It's something that AMD did try before, but, well, they basically dropped it. Enterprise is still a very, very lucrative business that is dominated by Intel. Lisa Su also told us a couple of months ago that, well, she expects the data center AI accelerator market to grow over 60% CAGR from 2023 to 2028 to reach $500 billion, which I think was up from the $400 billion that she mentioned, well, an event before. Looking further into the business, was up from the 400.
That's a lot. 45 to 500, just a solid 11x in the span of 5 years. All right, let's go.
$1 billion that she mentioned, well, an event before. Looking further into the business, we can see here free cash flow margin, total revenue, and gross profit margin. Gross profit margin in the last 10 years have gone up. It has grown.
Okay, so for me, this is where I tune out because I don't look at the fundamentals like at all. Like I just don't care about fundamentals. To me, the only thing that matters is price. Only price pays. Now, I didn't make that up, right? I didn't make up that saying. And I got that from the market wizards because it's like, listen, if I'm buying a stock, doesn't matter how great the story is. In fact, Mark Minervini. So if you don't know Mark is one of the market wizards and a mentor of mine. Really sweet guy. His whole deal is I want to see a story behind it, right? So let's say, for example, a couch investor comes up with a very bullish thesis behind it. I want to see the story behind it. I want to see earnings growth. I want to see EPS. I want to see whatever, right? Name all the fundamentals you want. But I'm not buying. This is Mark's words. I'm not buying until the trend is moving up. He considers himself a longer-term investor. And he's not even touching it in a downtrend. And I wouldn't either. Like I say, it doesn't matter. Short-term trader, long-term investor. If the price is moving down, you're losing money because price at the end of the day is all that pays. Mikey Mike says, I do love a good love story. Yeah, I do enjoy a good love story. 1100 at, yeah, buddy.
The CAGR of 4.67%, but we've gone from basically 33.4% to now over 51%. With regards to free cash flow, previously, free cash flow margin was negative. We seem to have peaked at around, let's call it 19-20% or so, Q3 2021. Then it has come down. But at least now we are still in free cash flow positive territory. It's true that free cash flow margin has dropped a lot, but we can see that in the last couple of quarters that has started to pick up, and I fully expect AMD to continue to generate billions of dollars in free cash flow in the years to come. Looking at the different segments of the business that we've spoken about.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tune out here. Like I say, the fundamentals just, they don't do it for me. I like a good chart. I like to see where the stock is moving, and the fundamentals can help support the story. But at the end of the day, the fundamentals don't pay you a damn thing. The fundamentals don't pay anything. All right. So let's do this. Let's rank this video from 1 to 10. Put it in the chat how you would rank this video. Again, nobody gets a 7, right? Was it forgettable? Was it painful? Was it frustrating? Was it mediocre? Was it legendary? Right? Man, I did one this morning. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. I think I gave it a 3. I was like, oh geez, I'm not seeing it here. I'd rate it a 6. I mean, it was definitely decent. I don't see any issues with that. What I appreciate about Couch Investor is that he comes to the table with receipts. He comes to the table with data, and whether he's bullish or bearish, it seems like he always comes with a plan. Plan in his backpack, I guess you could say. Looks like everybody else is voting 6 as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for chiming in. Xenon. Oh my goodness. That is one handsome tiger you got there, Xenon. Can you have a quick look-see at NVIDIA for comparison? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hang on. let's do a side-by-side here. Multi-symbol view. We'll throw AMD and we'll throw Nvidia over here. I mean, let me remove all my annotations on this and all my annotations on the, no, stop. Here, remove all annotations. Okay. I mean, it looks like this one's dropping off right at the beginning of where that one's going, doesn't it? Yeah. And I really like to point out this market cycle here, right? Because AMD's on the downward slope of this, right? I hate to say it, but it's true. Let's go side by side with this and with this. That doesn't look good. That's not so bad. Let me make it bigger. Right. Imagine you've got two different companies here. You've got Nvidia in the middle. You've got AMD on the far left. And then you've got on the right-hand side, the market cycle investing guide, right? Do me a favor. In the chat, put in where you feel like AMD is and where you feel like Nvidia is. Okay. So this starts from November 24th, 2023 on both of these charts. Where would you put both of these? Esat says, today it's a 2. Alan says, Super Micro is even worse than AMD. Super Micro is even worse. That can't be too good at all. Randy says, AMD's in panic mode. Yeah, I can get on with that. I would even put it in capitulation mode down here. Haven't quite issued anger yet. I haven't quite got there yet. But like Nvidia, I mean, I almost feel like we might be on the other side of the hump, hitting complacency or anxiety right here. So yeah, both of these stocks, very, very different life cycles that they're in at the moment. So again, thank you so much for participating in that. Let's continue on here with today's member highlight. You guys have been blowing up the Discord. Let's see what's going on over there. All right, so in the Outlier Discord, like I say, Mahesh just got back. He updated everybody with everything. So you can now have custom lists, custom notifications, notification and list management added right on the dashboard. Email notifications are going to change. Added a new chart with the constituent heat map timeline, which we talked about earlier. Combined oscillator and heat map chart into one thing we talked about earlier. The ability to hide and unhide sections, which I think is really good. In fact, when Mahesh first dropped this update, I'll give you a little inside baseball here in Outlier. When Mahesh first dropped this update, he was really proud of it. And I was like, Mahesh, I'm overwhelmed. I am really overwhelmed with how much data you have here. And I was like, can we hide some of this stuff? And it took us like a few months to get the showing and hiding functions in, but now we can do that. And I am really stoked. I think that this is going to make it a lot easier for people. In fact, one request I had was if we could even have an easy button where it's like, hide everything except this. Like the easy mode would be this. The advanced mode would be everything all at once. So really cool updates there. Let's see what else is popping off in the Discord here. Mark is the smartest man that I know and talks about a whole bunch of other stuff. And at the end, he says, it's a boring strategy, I know, and doesn't have home runs like Chris and others have, but it works for me. Thought I'd share. So that's pretty cool. Appreciate Mark going through that, explaining a few different things. And then Dave was doing the Lord's work, sharing order blocks over from a script that he wrote for Thinkorswim. So yeah, very cool. And then Mikey Mike was asking about Robinhood. Mikey Mike, I don't know Robinhood, dude. Not a platform I've used before. So that's going to wrap our member highlight of the day. And be sure to share your stories in the Discord. And of course, the first rule of Outlier is tell everybody about Outlier. And you hit the like button. Now back to trading, the Outlier Trading Room. So what is Outlier and what does it do? Well, if you remember old Uncle Warren, he'd say, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Well, Outlier shows you if investors are acting rational, fearful, or greedy, and by how much, allowing you to get into the stock before the Outlier move happens. And don't forget, you can get Outlier for just 82 cents a day, but you got to get it by the end of the month with the Outlier annual pass. Now, my style of trading is called the golden ticket trading strategy, and it always starts with the market. Alan says they were both at panic and euphoria. Hang on, I want to see where panic is. I don't know. Was it at the disco? I can't remember. Panic and euphoria. I could see both of those. Okay, back over here. All right, so with the market, I want to let it tell me where it's going, right? Let the market tell you which direction it's going with a 10, 20, 50. And so let's go to the SPY. Right here, the SPY is clearly in a downtrend. Anybody tells you that this is a great buying opportunity, they're wrong. Okay. It could be. I mean, honestly, here's the thing. 580 could be the best buy for the rest of time, but we don't know. And the trend is currently trending down. So what I would rather do is wait until that trend. I would rather wait until the trend does whatever it's going to do, and then maybe buy a 580 on the opposite side of the trend, right? On the opposite side of that move when it is trending back up. So you don't have to hold the stock when it's going down. But the 10, under the 20, prices under the 50. So your short, intermediate, and long term are all pointing down at this point. So it's definitely a bearish trend. Mathematically speaking, you can't argue with me on that because it's just a fact. Let's go to the next step here, which is market breadth. Now, market breadth is interesting, right? It's actually been peaking up. Now, this is the number of stocks that we have buy signals for, right? So the more stocks that have buy signals, the higher this line is going to go right here. And right now it's hovering right at 50. And if we throw the moving average on top of that, you can see it did cross a couple days ago. What I want to see is the market breadth trending down at the same time market trend is trending down. In the meantime, I don't need to trade. I don't need to trade at all. There's no point in putting anything on in the market for me because it doesn't fit my trading plan. So I need you to ask yourself a question. Are you trading in your own trading plan? Do you have a trading plan? Do you know where you're going to get out and where you're going to get in and why? If you don't have that, I would really encourage you to take a few moments this afternoon, grab a journal, grab a pen, maybe put on some smooth jazz on the headphones, right? And just kick back and relax for a few minutes and be like, where would I get in? Or where would I get out? And why would I get in? And why would I get out? I would really encourage you to come up with that, because having that plan is what separates the best from the rest. Okay, doesn't matter if you're a short-term trader or long-term investor. That is the difference that separates the best from the rest. And don't give me some cockamamie excuse about taxes. Don't give me some cockamamie excuse about, oh, I don't want to sell because I don't want the tax consequence. My bro, right? I would much rather pay taxes. And listen, I get this in the comments, which is why I bring it up. I would much rather pay taxes when my stock is going up and it hits my exit signal than lose 60% of my dollars that I invested because I was afraid to take a tax loss, right? Or I was afraid to pay taxes. Do not come up with an excuse that taxes are the reason that you're not selling, because if that's the case, your head's in the wrong place. In fact, I would venture to say you want to pay as much taxes as you physically possibly can, because that means you made buttloads of money, which I would say is a pretty good outcome. So let me go over here to check in on the chat here. Esau says, that's the best point. Exactly. Randy says, standing by, all funds and Schwab money markets. Yeah, dude, like, it's not going anywhere here right now. Esau says, I'm in this channel because of your honesty and good character. Well, thanks, my dude. I appreciate that, right? But I'll tell you one thing. There are no trades set up for me today, but that's okay. I want to hear in the chat what you're trading, and be sure you come back tomorrow, where we'll help you save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. Of course, let us know if you need anything in the Discord, and have a fantastic day. We'll talk soon.